The truth is that for more than 1 week, what has been happening in Gaza, a lot of people don't know. They don't know the conflict like that's going on and how a lot of people have lost a lot of things. Don't be only life that they lose for this life. There are some times when a lot of people are living, they have lost everything that make them the human being. Their dignity, their home. Do you know what it takes for someone to lose a home? Practically your identity. Sometimes even your loved ones, you can't even find them. When we talk about war, we don't really know what war have caused in the past. For those of you that have read history books, you people can be able to learn or understand what war caused. And do you know one thing that scared me?
For the peace process. But in order to become prime minister, not just to become prime minister, but to stay on as the longest serving prime minister, he went to bed with the far right, a group of, completely irrational religious group that gave a condition that they were not ready to cede any land to the Palestinians. And for him to survive or to be prime minister or to stay as long as, possible, he decided to work with these people and abandon the peace process after Oslo. And so if this disaster is happening, himself and those leaders should bear the full responsibility for what is happening, not just to the people of Gaza, but to the unfortunate victims in Israel that have become victims of, Hamas attack. The second blame should go to the Arab leaders themselves. And we should honestly not just hold anybody responsible, but Arab leaders. They've abandoned the Palestinian cause. Are we to understand that a number of Arab states have recognized the state of Israel? They've normalized relations. Are we to understand that the settlement of the Palestinian question was not part of the negotiation? And a typical example of the abandonment of the Palestinian by the Arab states, it's what Saudi Arabia is doing today. Saudi Arabia is sending envoys around the world. Guess what? To do what? In the midst of a horrendous crisis in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia is more concerned about hosting the World Cup. And now it visited Nigeria last week to invite African leaders to Saudi Arabia African Summit. For goodness sake, what gives Saudi Arabia the impudence to think that 60 African countries will come to Saudi Arabia? In the midst of such a crisis, Saudi Arabia is focusing on the World Cup. It is this abandonment of the middle of the Palestinian cause that has made Israel over this long years since Oslo, since the peace agreement collapsed, that Israel has been treating the Palestinians like orphans and, like the chief of army staff said, like animals. And when you treat people like animals, for goodness sake, what do you think? One day they will behave like animals. And when animals do behave, they don't have a sense of reasoning or strategy. And that's exactly what the Palestinians unfortunately did. You know, when you understand the psychic of the Palestinians vis-a-vis Israel, for the Palestinians, they have a very narrow definition of victory. That victory is if they can kill one Israeli, if their rocket can destroy one building in Gaza, in Tel Aviv. For the Palestinians, for Hamas, it's victory. But Israel has a broader definition of victory. The near annihilation, removal completely.
Ambassador Keshi, as you well know.
No, let me finish.
No, because you are blaming the Palestinians. Let me just make my... You are blaming the
Israelis. No, I'm not blaming the... No.
You are blaming the Israelis.
I'm not blaming the... I'm saying to you that No, I'm saying that when you have a narrow definition of victory, this is when you do this kind of madness of going in and breaking in and you are happy that you have won. But they did not think of the consequences of their action, that the Israelis will retaliate in such a manner that will create this kind of humanitarian crisis. So everybody in the game is to be blamed. And of course, finally, the Americans. They took their eyes off the ball for a long time. They've just, because of what is happening in Israel, they decided to abandon the peace process as well. And this is why we're in this, because everybody has completely abandoned this crisis and left it to the both sides to manage. We know both sides cannot find peace until somebody strong enough like the Americans and the rest of the world get involved and try to force them to a negotiating table. That's the point I want to make.
No. And I was going to say that isn't the international community hypocritical in this matter? The U.S., yes, Anthony Blinken.
Precisely.
Anthony Blinken is all over the place. He's going around. But the Americans, are they not hypocritical? So they say, okay, we are with the Israelis. But Iran says we are with the Palestinians. So what are we dealing with? The hypocrisy of the international community and the failure of the international system.
I don't know about the failure of the international system, but I will speak extensively on the hypocrisy of the international community. You cannot on one side say, oh, the Palestinians did something horrible. But guess what? The Israelis have been doing things worse than this for the last couple of years. And everybody kept quiet. Everybody kept quiet. But that's not the issue. The issue is that we must find a way to get the two sides. Look, today when you watch some reports coming in from Israel, you see families of those who've been kidnapped pleading for their loved ones to be released and saying, and I quote one or two people that I've heard, saying that, I hope this will make us find peace. It shows you that the people of Israel themselves want peace. But look at what their leaders are saying. For their leaders, until they deal with Hamas completely and hate Hamas, they are not ready to compromise on anything. And that's, for me, that's not the way to, that's not the way to go. So the international community is pretending that this is the first time it's happening. That's why they are condemning Hamas so badly. No, this has gone on for more than 20 years, for goodness sake. For more than 20 years. The Palestinians, the people in the Gaza Strip have been on the receiving end. And the sooner that we all come to our senses and stop this hypocrisy and find a way to, finally resolve the crisis in the Middle East.
But sir, what do you think of this two-state solution? We have been on that since 1936. Yasser Arafat rejected the two-state solution. Mahmoud Abbas, who is head of Palestine now, also rejected the two-state solution. The issue, some people argue, is that the Palestinians don't want Israel to exist. What do you say about that?
No,
shouldn't there be some accommodation?
I think we have moved. No, I think we have moved. Bear in mind that not all the Arab states initially did not want Israel to exist. And I think everybody has moved away from that. The fact is that the two-state solution is probably the best option we have today and the best option on the table. And this is the point I'm trying to make, that if the world, the international community led by the Americans and also supported by the Arabs have insisted and compelled both parties, perhaps we would have had the two-state solution. But when the prime minister who signed the Oslo agreement was murdered, and Hamas itself contributed to the collapse of the two-state solution, and Arafat, couldn't continue with the peace process, we are now reaping the benefit of, that rejection by both parties. But as it is today, there is no better solution on the table than the two-state solution. And the world must find a way of persuading, in particular, the Israeli leadership. Pounding, beating, destroying Gaza is not the solution. And that is the honest truth.
Okay, sir. It looks like international law is at stake here. The Israelis are adopting a scorched earth policy. They're saying you must move from one part of Gaza to the other. Yes, the Hamas themselves, they are killing children, everybody, busy killing children. So where does this leave the regime of international law, the international world order,
Ruben, I don't think that this
humanitarian crisis?
We all become emotional, and when we just begin to say they are killing children, as if this is the first time children are being killed in this crisis. Since this